Alright, today I'm going to continue the to-do application. We've done the add and delete operations, and definitely the read it shows on the screen. And finally, it is the edit operation that is a little bit more complex because it involves swapping elements, editing, the accessing data, and then display it on the screen. Well, we'll solve this one by one, and let's see what we got here. The first step is when I press the edit icon, I want to be able to swap this row of to-do card into the input field that is looking similar to my input when I'm adding the records. So it basically just swap out and in, and then when I press the close, it will swap it back to the to-do card. When I press the check, it will swap it back to the to-do card as well, but on top of that, it will edit the existing to-do data. Without further ado, let's get started. First step, we want to reuse the add to do input. So we call this edit to do input.temper. And we call this as edit to do input. However, the difference is that we need to pass in the DTO dot to do card. We need to pass in a to do card. The to do data into our edit to do input. And the ID is going to be say edit to do dash plus our to do.id. So it's unique per row. We can have multiple edit to do input without crashing with each other because they have the unique ID sign. And we don't need the ID, in my opinion, for the input field. We do need a name that's properly adjusted. The color of the chat button and also the close icon is going to be a black color instead of white color because we have the white color background right here. And finally, we shall do the swapping for close first because it's easier to settle. When the close button is pressed from the edit to do input, we want to trigger the edit to do button, ask the backend to return the original element back. And the target would be the same as our ID that we have predefined here. Okay, right with this. But remember to add a hashtag in the beginning so that it's targeting the ID. Now you know, say it's targeting the ID instead of like classes or whatever shits. Okay, so coming back, edit to do button, and then because swapping it involves a specific to do card, right? We want to get back our to-do card when we do the closing, so we need to pass in the to-do ID to the backend so it knows that, oh, this is for this particular card, and to-do.id put it right here. Alright, that's all for the preparations on the front end side. How about backend? Right, backend is in charge of swapping the input field from to-do card to the edit to-do input. So this is the first thing. When we press the edit, we want to do the swapping immediately. We can then ask the target, which is our to do this current element. So definitely it's a hashtag. So when we press the edit button, it will then call the get request to get the components. Let me get back the code. Right. Components, the type is edit to do input, and then it will pass in the to do.id, the same thing, because I want the input field to be specific to a certain to do card. Right, when we click it, it will swap the entire element out to the edit to do input. That's all. Let's get started with the next preparations. Just give me a moment, I'm thinking about something. Okay, right, true. Okay, then we need capture this edit to do input string to do a dynamic generation. So inside our switch that we have in the /components API, we add this case edit to do input component is equal to components dot edit to do input that we pass in the to do. But now we don't have a to do yet, so we need to find where is our to do. So id is equal to c.query param. We have the id passed in already, so id is confirmed there. And then secondly is we want to have a helper function to find our to do card by the id. It will return a to do card DTO. So for each to do, if the ID is equal to the ID that we are finding, I'm just going to return the to do item. If not, then after all the operations, it will return a new. And to do input is our to do right here. To do is equal to find by ID, and then we list the to dos in. We put the ID in. Right. Secondly is when we render the to do item input, we need to return it. Right. Okay. Return like this. So this is for the edit to do input. So ideally, if this bunch of code works, it will then find me the correct to do item and then swap the entire row with the edit to do input with the to do information in. Right. Let's try. Right. So now you can see when I didn't do anything, it's looking like a to do card. When I press the edit, it will swap it out and then swap back in the input item. Okay, it works as intended. And finally is handling the conversion from our close button prompt. When we press it, then we want to go back to the to do card. So in that case, we will also handle the case of edit to do button. This is just a structure that I feel like is reasonable to me to write in this way, where I have a specific route that's specifically for swapping components in and out. Okay, so same logic. We get the to do item, and then we ask the backend to return us our to do card with the to do inside. And it's a pointer, if I'm not mistaken, right? So this is the difference between these two parameters, I think, is because of the how I structure the function. So there's written differently, but behavioral wise is the same lah. Okay. When we press something, okay, when we press a cross, it then go back to the input field that I put in just now. Okay, but there's one problem now. When I press edit, it doesn't pass the first item, the text, into my input field. So I need to give it a default value. It's very simple to do so because I already have the input section, like input element in my edit to do input. I'm just going to pass in a value equal to to do.text, like this. So it then become, when I press the edit, the first item, the text is there already. So when I do anything and then I press a close, it will then go back to the previous state where the value is not changed yet. So finally, this video, I also want to cover the actual edit operation. Right, we need to find the correct input and update the value. So to do so, we need another route called edit. Right, so it's a put route, and then it's going to be /todo/id, where if the id is equal to nothing, then I return an error, and then I will find the to do, I guess. Find by id. If to do is new, can, oh, what happened? Okay, return invalid id. Okay, or status not found. Then to do card not found. Okay, then if we have something, then I will return the to do card back with the item change. So we want to mutate the element, the text, with the actual text that we are getting. So I need to, okay, let me check how can I get the body from our data here. Oh, I think it's a form value. So what I need to do is equal to c.form value, and then pass in the data of our edit to do input. So the name is edit to do input, like this. Boom. Alright, mutating the text, and then pass it back the components to do cut with the element that's updated, the to do. Okay, make a pointer there. Alright, hopefully this works, and then I return it back. So we have got the put operation done already. Finally, the last thing that I want to do is call the operation slash to do slash plus slash to do slash id to do dot id, swap the id, and then trigger by click. After clicking, it will swap my outer HTML with hashtag target of edit to do. So exact same target that I'm already put in the close. Okay, hopefully this is how it works. Let's try 1 2 3 tick. Oh, I got an error. Wait a minute. Method not allowed 405. Oh, it's a post it's not a post request, it's a put request. Okay, change a bit. Okay, 1 2 3 tick. Okay, now the data has changed. Like this has changed completely, and then to verify that we are doing the things right, the value is actually changed. Let's just do a final check where we call the print line right here, and we print the entire to-dos. Okay, so every time when we see any changes, 1 2 3, we expect the console log to print in chat. Okay, for to do in the range of to-dos, or for t in the range of to-dos, fnt.print line t dot text dot text. Okay, so I expect to see whenever I do the edit, my original print of the array has changed the data. So yes, it has changed the data. The first item is 1 2 3. Second item is the same thing. And the good thing about this approach that I'm taking, right, is that every individual row is isolated from each other. So I can have this two editing the same way, and it just works. So it feels quite natural, and the code at the end is actually pretty simple. As in, I only added like one route for updating, and then I cover the component swapping between the edit to do input and also the edit to do button, and that is all. And the rest is playing around with how HTMX attributes do the work. Well, it might be confusing to you at the first time when you are using the HTMX, so I will consistently put the updated code in the GitHub so that you can refer to it from time to time on how the logic behind the CRUD works. Let me know if you have any questions you would like to clarify. That's all for my video today. Thanks.